From San Antonio, Texas, home of the Alamo, the Riverwalk, and the World Heritage San Antonio Missions, this is the ExitMap Podcast, hosted by John F. Dini, the exit planning coach. Designed to help advisors who work with business owners, John talks with top professionals in the exit planning field about best practices, marketing tips, and how to be more effective when working with owners. Now, here's John F. Dini.
Hi, and welcome to the ExitMap Podcast by the Exit Planning Coach. I'm John F. Dini, and my guest today is Melinda Adams. I've known Melinda for some time. She happens to be here in San Antonio, as I am, and we've done a number of things together. We are in the Exit Planning Exchange together, among other things. And Melinda had a successful career as a corporate executive. She was with IBM and Oracle, and now she specializes in working with business owners, having been an entrepreneur herself. She holds a BS in polymer engineering. Someday we'll have to talk about what inspired you to go into polymer engineering, but she also holds an MBA in finance, which is probably a lot handier in this field. And as I said, she lives in San Antonio, where we are, and with her husband, Ed, and her two daughters. Welcome, Melinda. It's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, John.
Yeah. So let's talk about the corporate career. Were you an engineer? No, in Oracle? I can't imagine you doing polymer engineering in Oracle. So tell me about that.
My first job out of college was actually with Eastman Chemical Company, and I did do engineering. I did sales for plastics. So for those that are listening that are old enough would know that in containers used to be glass, and it was a big shift to try and move to plastic. So I worked in Dallas, Texas, with Mary Kay and other consumer goods that we were working to move from glass containers to plastics. And so, but I was flying around in sales, and it was also around Y2K, and the world was going to end in 2000. And there was a lot more energy, excitement, and quite frankly, money to be made in software. So I jumped ship from plastics to software. But I would joke with my clients and say, I could actually tell you more about how the CDs made when software was on CDs than I can the software, but we'll get there. So
That's great. And then you were an entrepreneur. Tell us about your company. What'd you do?
it's interesting because one of my favorite books is Michael Gerber's book on the E-Myth. And
Sure.
I was in corporate America. I was at Oracle, and it was quite a high pressure environment. And I had wanted to start a family with my soulmate and husband. And I thought, I should own a business instead of a corporate job because it would be easier and give me more time to spend with my children. So, yeah, the entrepreneur myth. So,
yes.
long story short, we had a place in Panama City, and we decided to buy a business that had nothing to do with what we were doing in our corporate jobs. It was actually a hurricane shutter business in 2005. And we bought the business thinking that we could just grow it in our spare time as we sipped Mai Tais on the beach. And again, as any entrepreneur will know, it doesn't actually work out that way. It was interesting, and I again credit E-Myth with helping me. There wasn't EOS and some of the tools that are out there today for business owners, but he had a nice coaching program to really help me think differently on how to grow the business, how to make it successful. And he talked about a franchise prototype and how you want to grow a business to be scalable. So we ultimately grew the business and did have children, and it was not sitting on the beach. It was a lot of long nights, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of success and some failure along the way, as I'm sure most business owners feel, and reached a point that I really didn't feel like I could be a good mother and a good business owner. So we needed to open more locations and continue to expand our brand. We went from hurricane shutters to actually growing into an exterior openings company. So we sold windows, doors, garage doors. We exclusive with overhead door it became overhead door of Northwest Florida. So through that journey, I'm a faithful woman. I told my husband, I said, I think God's leading us somewhere else, and I would like to sell the business. And, you just think that you'll put a for sale sign out there, somebody will come and write you a big check and you'll sail off into the sunset.
Yeah, if the entrepreneurial myth is one, then the exit myth is the other myth.
Yes, I would agree. So, having gone through the experience, yeah, I was so naive. My husband had actually moved back to Texas, and for some personal reasons, as we were making a transition, and I was president and left to transition it to the new buyer, find a strategic buyer, and was working with a business broker, but again, did really nothing to be exit ready, and didn't understand the process. Was very naive. I could go through all my mistakes. It's a lot of what I see some of my clients doing now that I try and correct. And honestly, that's why I do what I do now. I made a lot of mistakes. I paid too much in taxes. I left too much on the table. The earnout, I mean, I can walk through every bit of that negotiation where none of it was in my favor. We did sell it though, and we still, got a nice chunk of change. And I moved to San Antonio with my husband, and we've been here for about 14 years. And I took some time off after we sold the business. I just wanted to be a mom, be with my kids, and really just figure out what that next chapter looked like for me. And the question I kept asking myself is, I guess, 36 at the time. Is this enough money? What's enough? How do I know if I have enough? And so I decided to revisit my finance degree and study to become a certified financial planner. I figured out, yes, we had enough. If I did not want to go back to work, I would be fine. Everything that I wanted to accomplish, I could do. But I really felt, to be as intelligent and accomplished as I felt I was, there's got to be other business owners out there that struggled with the same question. What is that freedom point? What is the walkaway number? What do I need to truly be financially independent and to have the lifestyle that I would like to enjoy? And so I decided to become a licensed financial advisor, certified planner, and be able to help business owners. And so I am a financial advisor. I'm a certified exit planning, the CEPA, through the Exit Planning Institute. And I am a financial advisor through M&T Financial Partners, but I also founded Exit with Purpose. And that is business consulting that I do in addition to the financial planning piece. And really my passion and my why is to help business owners avoid all of the mistakes that I made, be able to educate them on the different paths to be able to exit, and to make sure that their legacy, their freedom point, the life that they want to live, that they've worked so hard for, is one they can truly accomplish with whatever they want that next transition to look like.
That's great. Well, as you know, we share that passion. It's funny, a quick aside, two anecdotes on Gerber. One is, I read the E-Myth many, many years ago, and if you come over to our place, there's a great big binder of checklists. Everything has a checklist. Got to
Yeah,
have a checklist, or we
I have
don't
a
do it.
checklist.
Yeah.
I
The
mean, it
second,
was, yeah,
go ahead.
truly the main reason we became scalable
Yeah.
was, just putting those processes in place. And it's exciting to see all the tools that business owners have now to expand on that. But
Yeah.
yes, checklist.
And then when my second book, Hunting in a Farmer's World, I sketched it out. I wrote the first couple chapters and I sent it off to a couple people and said, "What do you think?" And one of them was Michael Gerber. And to my surprise, he came back with a real critique. He said, "This is a mess." You know, he said, "This is confused. I can't figure out what you're trying to say. I can't figure out what the beginning and the middle and the end is. Go back to square one and start again." And I did. And it turned out to be much, much better than it would have been otherwise. So he was a big help at a very critical time.
Wow,
Um,
that's great.
yeah, I was very surprised. So how long have you been, how long has Exit been with Purpose been going? How long have you been
I
doing that?
started it last year, and
Okay.
my goal there again is on the education side of things, and helping business owners think through and get prepared ahead of time. So one of my new workshops through Exit with Purpose is Grow or Go, the 7 hidden risks to your business value. And really just trying to spend time, because again, the thing that I see a lot is that business owners don't realize the runway that they really should put in place to minimize taxes, to plan for an exit to maximize value, make sure they surround themselves with the right resources and advisors to make that transition happy for everyone involved. It is possible to have a win-win for both the buyer and the seller. But typically, if you're not prepared, one side or the other is going to be a little bitter, and it's
Yeah.
typically going to be the one that's selling the business. And
Yeah.
so there's just ways to avoid that and, beat the statistics that the majority of business owners aren't happy when they sell their business or transition.
Yeah. As,
And then
as
they
you
end
know,
up, yeah.
Yeah, as you know, that number is 75% that aren't happy. And we used to quote that from the Exit Planning Institute study back in 2013, but I found out that Price Waterhouse, or PwC as they're now known, um, uh, did another survey of small businesses with Cornell University in 22 and came out with the exact same number. 75% are unhappy a year later.
Yeah. And that's
So,
what you have to ask. It's like, do you want to be that 1 in 4 that's happy, or the majority that's not? And planning, and again, surrounding yourself with the right people. One of the reasons that I enjoy working with business owners is to be in that quarterback role. And as exit planners, we really can be that fiduciary, that co-pilot that walks alongside them without the fox in the hen house type. A lot of people stand to gain something in the transaction, and so they might want to rush it along or not have that third party or just kind of outside opinion of like, yes, this is in your best interest, yes, this aligns with your goals and your values and what you said was important to you, or no, it doesn't. And so it's an honor to be a part of people's journey, to make sure that that they can kind of separate what matters from the noise, and make sure that they can stay on that path to truly be happy when it happens.
yeah, yeah, it's one of my pet peeves, and something I write screeds about from time to time, is too many people think, too many advisors treat the exit as the end game, and it's not. There's life after the business is really the end game. What are you accomplishing by the sale of the business? The sale of the business isn't the be all and end all by itself. Yeah. This is an advisor to advisor podcast. We have a lot of advisor following, so we crunch out tips. What is your first meeting when a client comes to a workshop, or comes across your marketing stuff, or meets you and says, yes, let's sit down and talk about it. What does your first meeting look like?
So I typically just get to know them. I'll start with just, tell me what's important to you. What would you like to see happen as you think about transitioning your business? And I work with clients that are also looking to grow, not necessarily exit, but
Sure.
as all of us in this space know, being exit ready is just good business planning.
Hmm.
So my initial meeting is just to understand what they're hoping to accomplish, and how I might be able to play a role in that. Sometimes they have other advisors that overlap with what I do. And so I want to just understand where are the pain points that they're feeling, how much have they done in their planning. And then once I get a good feel for what they're looking for, and we spend some time getting to know each other, I give them a proposal that would outline the services that I'm going to provide. And so I can do a multitude of services as a financial advisor and an exit planner. So I really want to, lock in on what's most important to them. And it's usually a year-long engagement to begin with. And so I'll let them know this is an annual proposal. And then we look at it a year later to say, do we want the same level of engagement? We'd like less. And so sometimes when you get the plane in the air, there's not as many touch points needed. And so it might just be some
Yeah.
quarterly or biannual check-ins. And so so everything's customized based on, again, what my client hopes to accomplish.
Good. Okay. We're going to take a quick break now to pay for the podcast, but we'll be right back. And then I'm going to ask you to give people information on how they can find out more about your workshop. We'll be right back.
The fastest way to lose a client is to treat the exit as the finish line. The surest way to keep one? Make what's next part of the plan long before any transaction. ExitMap changes everything and turns next step planning into your strongest retention tool. ExitMap is the only structured discovery system built to be the first step in every advisory relationship. The 5-meeting process helps advisors guide owners through the essentials of successful transition planning: financial readiness, business readiness, and personal readiness, so they gain real clarity about what life looks like after the business. You guide the process by facilitating deeper conversations. They own the plan by discovering their own priorities and defining what success truly looks like. The result? A documented set of goals, a personal vision, and a prioritized action plan. Built by the client, giving them clarity about their future and giving you a roadmap for supporting it. ExitMap. You guide it, they own it. Take a test drive at exitmap.com.
Hi, welcome back to the ExitMap Podcast, hosted by the Exit Planning Coach. I'm John F. Dini, and this is Melinda Adams that we've been speaking to. And Melinda has a workshop for business owners who want to know more about exit planning or growth in general. Melinda, can you tell us, give us the title of that again, and tell us a little bit about the workshop and how people can get in touch with you if they're interested?
Absolutely. The workshop is called Grow or Go, the 7 hidden risks to your business value. And the workshop is really designed for business owners to think through some aspects of exit planning, both from a risk standpoint, the value of their business, their freedom point, a lot of things that advisors will touch on. But it has a workbook. I have a 45-minute keynote, but the workshop is about 2.5 hours. They get a nice workbook. It is hands-on. They are meant to leave with action items that will put them in a better place. I also include a few assessments, ExitMap being one of them, so they can
Good,
get
thank you.
good readiness. And the goal is to get them thinking, to educate them on things that they probably haven't thought of, and to start to put a game plan together. And I enjoy getting to know clients and business owners after the workshop. Again, if there's a reason and a purpose in continuing the conversation, I'll meet with the business owners afterwards. But I love to do it in collaboration with other advisors. So if anyone wants to look at a collaboration, I don't do a lot of the actual business coaching to increase the value of their business. And so I enjoy working with business coaches and fractional CFOs, other people in this space that complement what I do so that we can give just a holistic approach to their exit planning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I've spoken to FBA and other financial service organizations, and I still am surprised at the number of financial planners who don't think holistic for a business owner means the illiquid asset that's 50 to 70% of their entire net worth.
I completely agree. And it's part of my financial planning process is we do I use biz equity to do some enterprise business valuations. And again, to have some idea of what the business is worth is really important because it is typically a very large portion of a business owner's net worth. And you'll ask them how they might have found the value, and yes, your accountant can do a certified appraised value, or you might be able to ask a buddy what he sold his business for. But at the end of the day, doing some real analysis on your financials and the intangibles, it's important. It's important to understand funding buy sell agreements and doing the protection planning piece of things. And it's important to know, again, if one of your business partners passed away and you need to buy out the spouse, do you have the funds to do that? What is the value of the business? And there's a lot of fighting in relationships that can be impacted when you don't spend some time really quantifying what that business is worth, and then also looking at the wealth gap to say, okay, let's say the business is worth $5 million, but you really need 8 or 9 to be able to sustain your lifetime. Now we've got a wealth gap. How are we going to address that as well?
Yeah. Yeah. We one of the things, not to plug ExitMap, but one of the things in the revisions we did a couple months ago was to take the expenses that are being paid by the business and put that into the distance to goal calculations, because so many people miss how much the business is supporting their personal lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's not going to do that anymore once you're out.
Well, and what's interesting, so part of my process is to have a goals and dreams meeting. Because again, if you think about businesses and money, they're just tools to facilitate our lifestyle and our legacy and the things that are important to us. And so, how we're going to turn that business into, something that is tangible that we can then use to support our lifestyle afterwards is important. But I'll tell you, I'll get in meetings with business owners and they'll think that, let's say for easy math, they're getting 250 from their business. They think, well, I think I'll be able to live on 125,000 once I sell it. They'll reduce the amount that they think that they need to live on. And I'm like, wait, you're living on this now. You've got a lot of perks that you run through your business. I'm not sure this math
Yeah.
is really going to work out.
Yeah.
So I'll encourage them to, let's practice. I'm like, well, while we're getting you exit ready, if you really think you're going to live on 100 or 200, whatever the number is, let's go ahead and practice. And, inevitably they'll come back and like, yeah, you're right. My can't.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
I make $500,000 now and I need to keep have that cash flow. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's good math to go through.
Yeah, it is. They're great exercises. What is your biggest challenge when you're working with an owner? Do you have something that happens repeatedly?
The biggest challenge is making sure that it makes their short list. The two biggest challenges, and that's why I end up telling business owners on the front end now. I'm like, there's three things that you're going to need to do for this process to be successful. Time, money, and change. Money's going to be the easiest part. Cutting a check for the services, that's going to be easy. The time that it requires for you to put in the planning is going to be important, and the changes that you're willing to make sure that your plan can be reached and accomplished. So trying to get that buy-in on the front end is really important. And then a lot of times getting their important documents. And I will tell business owners, this is a gift to your family. It's a gift to yourself to be able to locate and have a virtual data room before you need it, and have a personal one too. Where are all your life insurance policies? Where are all your accounts? Because I can't tell you how many individuals I've worked with that have lost a loved one. And it's this financial treasure hunt, to try and find out where everything is. So getting people to locate all their documents, and it's so funny because they do. They're just like, oh, I forgot about this old 401k before I started my business. Oh, it looks like I have this life insurance policy. I didn't, and so let's go through all of that and gather that. So that's probably the hardest part in the process, is making sure that they make the time and that they gather their documents, and that we can make sense of kind of the spaghetti of financials that we usually start with.
Yeah. And to tell a tale, the worst one I heard was a CPA friend and client had a family come to him, and the father had passed away. And about 30 years before, he had set up trusts for each member of the family. And he was in oil and gas. And he had swapped, merged, bought, sold, transferred interests in various oil producing entities back and forth in and out of the trust without recording anything for 25 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's a shame because, I think that people think it'll never happen to them, and then it does. And for the families that are protected and have a plan, it's amazing. And for the ones that don't, it's picking up the pieces. And so I'll tell people, I'm like, you're doing this for the people that you love. You're dead, you'll be dead. So
Yeah.
anything that you do is a gift, and it shows love and consideration and compassion for those that are dependent on you. And it includes our employees too. When you start to have, and that was like one of the biggest weights that I felt as a business owner, is it's not only your family, it's the people that you employ and their families. And so the ripple effect that you have when you do planning, both for exit and personal and legacy, it impacts a lot of people when you're a business owner. And so,
Yeah.
it's good to
Yeah.
put your house in order.
Yeah. No, and the vast majority of business owners, and you know I've worked with hundreds over the years, uh, are really concerned about that. I mean, the stereotypical television business owner who is venal and takes advantage of his employees is
Yeah,
really kind of hard to find in the small business world, especially. I mean,
I would agree.
they're concerned, although sometimes too concerned. You know, when they tell me that their employee employees are like a family, or he treats them like family, I said, does that mean you have the weird uncle that sits in the corner that nobody talks about? I mean, there are limits to the family atmosphere. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, What would be your best advice to someone starting out in exit planning? You see the numbers, you know there's a flood of people from when we started, and there were, I don't know, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people in the country that said they specialized in exit planning. Now there's 10 times that many.
Yeah, it
Um,
has grown so much in the
yeah,
last 2 years. I did. I felt like Paul Revere 3 or 4 years ago, and focusing on exit planning. But yes, there's a lot more focus just with the big transfer that's happening. It's going to be big, and there's not enough of us even as it
yeah,
grows. My advice for someone starting off is to educate themselves, to look at the resources, and they're becoming more plentiful as well. So, I think the SEPA designation is a good one to have a similar framework. The materials that you have at ExitMap are great. And I would seek out other professionals that complement what you do, because I've yet to find anyone in our space that does everything that a business owner does and do it well.
you can't.
So
Yeah,
it's just too much. And so, getting those partnerships and collaborations in place where you can take some of the friction out of the process for a business owner to assemble a team. And that's what I tell my business owners is that, if you have a great business attorney, wonderful. I respect and cherish existing relationships. If you don't, I have some trusted advisors that I would love to put you in touch with. And, sometimes they may have like a good CPA or a good business attorney, but maybe not someone that's in the exit planning space. So if someone's starting off, I would look around and see who specializes in this space that you could collaborate with. Look out for the really amazing resources that are being developed and figure out what that lane and expertise is for you. Mistake that I made early on was trying to be everything. Not
mhm,
everything. I'm not going to be an attorney or CPA, but
sure.
doing the business coaching and the financial planning and doing the value acceleration. And it it diluted my ability to serve more clients effectively. And so when I realized that my highest and best use really is in the financial planning space, the protection space, and being able to assemble a team that my clients could lean on, whether they needed a business coach or someone in marketing, or again, an attorney, a CPA, a fractional CFO. So now I have, a team of individuals in different areas that I can lean on when my client needs that particular resource.
Yeah, no, great advice. Every program, every organization in the exit planning space says it takes a team, but sometimes that doesn't get through. You know,
Mhm.
um, it- you know, a lot, especially in your business, in the financial planning business, where so many small shops, so many three, person shops, it just doesn't occur to them. They have COIs, but it doesn't occur to them to really form a cohesive unit. No,
Mhm.
it's been great talking to you today. Before we sign off, please, one more time, tell us the name of the workshop and how people can reach out and find you.
Wonderful. Yeah, the name of the workshop is Grow or Go, the 7 hidden risks to business value. And my website is exitwithpurpose.com. And you can do the contact us form on that. You can also reach me on my cell phone. It's an easy way to reach me at 210-701-9166.
Great. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Melinda, we are locals, so I will be seeing you around, but it was great to have you on. Have a
Thanks, John.
terrific day.
Great to
Thanks
see
a
you.
lot.